So the revenue model. So the revenue model is going to be highly aligned to the business model. There are different ways that you can charge money, but if you have certain kind of business model, you are going to be restricted to finite number of revenue models from there. So subscription, as we mentioned in the business model, that is also a revenue model because there just isn't a better word for it. So as you're thinking about a business model, it is more along the lines of customers get the value from you directly, so you have them pay on a regular basis. When you are thinking about the revenue model of subscription, it is along the lines of how are the customers paying on what time period. So customers are paying over a certain time period. Netflix obviously has a month-over-month model. Buffer, an example that we spoke about last time for an MVP. They have a really good model for revenue as well. So you charge on a monthly basis, or you can charge on an annual basis. So depending on the company and the goal that you have and your customers, you can go through any of those different models. By having a month-over-month or year-over-year subscription, companies are able to generate predictable and recurring revenue. Recurring revenue is certainly one of the components that investors are looking for at this point. You want to make sure that recurring revenue is coming to you on an ongoing basis, and that customers are coming in and sticking to your product over time and not churning. So subscription model is a great way to measure that on a regular basis. The next model is freemium. So it's somewhat similar to subscription model. Your customers are going to pay on a regular basis, but you have different tiers. And the first tier is a free tier. So customers can experience and start using your product for free. And then over time, once they want additional features or more time or different extensions, you can decide what that means for your business. Once they need something more than the free tier, then they start paying a regular amount for it. It's a great way for customers to get a taste or a hint of your product, and then you provide them with additional value, and then you entice them into paying for more afterwards. And Slack is a great example for this. Zoom is a great example for this as well, where you can use the product initially for free. And then if you want more capabilities, you have to pay a certain amount every month. So Zoom, if you have a free account, your meeting limitation is about 40 minutes. So obviously we started off with a free Zoom account, and then we realized we need more than 40 minutes. So we started paying on a monthly basis for that. That's the freemium model. Then there's a transactional model. You're not paying a regular amount on a monthly basis as you were with subscription or with freemium. Customers are paying an amount for how much they use a particular product. So Twilio, once again, is a great example for this. The pay-as-you-go SMS pricing, hopefully this is clear as an image. Based off of the number of SMS messages you are using, you pay that amount. Same thing goes for Google Maps pricing. If you're using the Maps API, then based off of the number of times you are using it, you pay that amount. So this is called the transactional model. Good thing about this model is that pricing is very simple to understand. You are charging customers based off of what they are using. Whereas, say in the Netflix example, you are paying your 10, 12, 14 bucks a month, whether you watch a movie or you don't watch a movie. So transactional model tends to work really, really well for B2B companies, where you are trying to make sure that your customers realize the value that you are trying to deliver. And it's an easier sell as well, saying that if you don't use a product at all, then you don't pay anything. So that conversation becomes a lot easier to have.
Abhishek, Is this a service companies use for, let's say, two-factor authentication?
Tulia?
Like messaging services? Like, let's say I'm logging into Microsoft 365.
Yeah.
I get a number code on my text phone,
Yeah.
on my phone. So this is what is used.
Exactly.
Okay, thanks.
So that probably uses two different things, and there's two different transactional revenue models that sit underneath that. So Office 365 uses likely a company called Auth0 for authorization purposes,
Right.
and that starts doing the two-factor authorization. And then if the user chooses an SMS model for two-factor authorization rather than having like a Google Auth or Authy on your phone, that gives you a code, then Auth0 probably uses Twilio for SMS purposes.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah. Then there's license, a revenue model. And this tends to be a little more complex to explain, and where websites generally don't display pricing on their websites. So company generally has some kind of technology or capability or an IP that their customers want to use. And this is generally used when companies are unable to keep track of usage or details on a regular basis in a reliable way. And this can happen in a few different spaces. So if within technology companies, you can run, and we're going to get into tech details afterwards, but you can run the overall code on either cloud like Amazon AWS, or you can run on-premise, which means on the customer's servers. If something is being run on the customer servers, this license provider, an IP provider, really does not know how much is being used and how much value that is providing to the customer. So in that case, something like a license revenue model works out really, really well, where you say that you can use my technology, my IP, over the course of 1 year, 5 years, whatever that term period is, where you pay an X amount on an annual basis. And that is a flat fee generally, because you're just not able to understand usage or the value that you get on an incremental basis. ARM is a hardware provider. Many IoT, Internet of Things devices tend to use ARM chips. So once again, for something like that, for ARM, they have no idea how much usage they're getting, so they provide the license to it. NVIDIA, same thing. It's a chips provider. When your laptop or your desktop, it's using an NVIDIA graphics chip, NVIDIA has no way to know how much you're using it. They just license that technology out and get money from Apple or HP or whatever the company is on a regular basis. Then there's advertising. So advertising revenue model obviously works really, really well with the advertising business model. In here, companies, once again, they're providing value to the user for free. User interacts with the company's products on an ongoing basis. Company then allows businesses to place ads, which are viewed by users, and then businesses are the ones that pay the company to be able to place the ads and have it displayed. So in this example, you have a cosmetics company that is advertising on Instagram. In order for a cosmetics company to be able to place that ad on Instagram, they are providing Instagram with a certain amount of money, and that's how Instagram makes money. It gets users looking at the ad and maybe click on it and maybe buy the product, and that's what the cosmetic company is banking on.